Unless we build it now. United States, Africa, we salute ya. A new state of mind, I introduce ya. Close your eyes and visualize the rise of a new paradigm. Solar powered skyscrapers.
Welcome to the Africa Must Unite podcast, a podcast dedicated to inspiring African people worldwide to rise up, organize, and struggle for Pan-Africanism, a unified, liberated socialist Africa, the only permanent solution to the exploitation and oppression of African people, no matter where they happen to be born or happen to live in the world. Now please, welcome the hosts of Africa Must Unite.
Africa's future is now, so get ready.
I'm Brother Neo.
Pan-African greetings out there. I'm Brother Terrence, and we are the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party, and we welcome you to another episode of Africa Must Unite podcast. How's it going, Brother Neil?
Oh, fine. It's a beautiful day here, Brother Terrence. A beautiful day to get out and spread revolution throughout the land.
Absolutely. Like we do at this time, we always want to start off with some calendar dates, some important information. And we are in the month of March, so we are dealing with Women's Month. I want to first talk about on March 2nd here, was officially named Angola Women's Day. Then we know on March 8th, the great Harriet Tubman was born in 1820. And in this same month, Harriet Tubman transitioned on March 10th, 1913. Another warrior transitioned in this month as well, the great Fannie Lou Hamer, who passed away in 1977, March 14th. On March 16th, the Mozambican Women Organization was formed in 1973. And then also in this month, on March 27, the great Pan-Africanist and author Shirley Graham Du Bois made her transition in 1977. So in the same year, in the same month, Fannie Lou Hamer and Shirley Graham Du Bois transitioned. Salute and honor the work of those sisters and more.
We have some real strong revolutionaries during this month, don't we, Brother Terrence?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. All right, Brother Neil. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to just read as we usually do, read the focus for this month. And the calendar theme for this month is that masses are the makers of history. So if you happen to have your calendars out there, pull them out and read along with me. Leadership is important, but it is not simply an individual thing. There are millions of our people who are leaders in all types of ways. Successful movements identify, organize, and provide people with political education. Sekou Toure tells us how. He says that revolutionaries must be in three places at once. They must be among the people so that they can experience what the people experience, and so that they can observe the collective leadership that already exists among our people. They must also be behind the people so that they can learn from the people, and they must be in front of the people so that they can help the masses know these things that they might not know. Collective revolutionary leadership emerges from this process when it is repeated over and over again. When the people begin to move collectively, they march, they fight, they build new institutions, and they create new art and new science. Like the griot Gil Scott Heron once said, there ain't no such thing as Superman. However, there are everyday masses of our people collectively accomplishing super deeds, like the Africans who fought to overthrow slavery in North and South America and in the Caribbean, and the armed masses of Guinea-Bissau and Southern Africa who gained their independence in the latter part of the 20th century. History is made by everyday people organized around a revolutionary ideology and a revolutionary program and plan. Join a revolutionary Pan-African socialist organization today.
Yes, indeed. Brother Neil, so let's start our discussion off with a few questions here to provide some clarity for the people out there. First of all, why is history important?
Well, but Terrence, history has, two components, two ways we can kind of unravel what history is. First is the concrete reality, the material processes that exist in real events. This is what we call the objective aspect of history, what's occurring. And then how do we understand history? How do we understand these events and processes? And this understanding is what we call the ideological or subjective aspect of history. So things can happen, and two different people can look at the same thing happening and see something different. But our ideology interprets for us what is happening. The ideological helps us understand what has happened, what is happening, and very importantly, what will happen, and how all three of these phases are interconnected and interrelated. The inclusive ideological position helps us avoid some real common mistakes.
You're right. What are some of the common mistakes, and how does all this relate to the idea that the masses are the makers of history?
Well, the first big mistake that we make, and, in the U.S., February is what we call Black History Month or African History Month. And quite often, sometimes we, as many people do, kind of emphasize the role of individuals, what they call the big man theory of history or the big woman theory of history. And even when you look at that big person history, this individual history, it also has a class kind of bias, because they say, here comes Alexander the Great, and he's rolling out of the mountains, and he's building his great kingdom, and what he's doing really is killing and subjugating, millions of people. And we see this from, one point to another point in history. So this class bias forces us, or not forces, it pushes us to looking at the history as something that only individuals who have these outstanding characteristics, these are only people who actually make history. Actually, what we're doing is only looking at the class or the nation class that is benefiting from the history, and we do not see the exploitation and the expropriation of the masses who are really creating the history by providing the material wealth that their history is based on. Sekou Toure has explained that there's a never-ending struggle between the masses who actually create material and non-material wealth. When we think of culture, we think of material wealth, agriculture, so forth, and non-material wealth, ideas, art, and so forth. And so there's as he said, there's a never-ending struggle between those who create this non-material and material wealth or culture, and those who exploit and expropriate the masses. When I say expropriate, we're taking the masses from the land or taking the land from the masses and so forth. Every step forward in human history comes with each victory that the working masses attain over the exploited masses. So the victory over slavery, the victory over capitalism, the victory over imperialism, over neo-colonialism, so forth. Each of those are steps forward. This process never ends. There is, in Nkrumah's terms, an ongoing contest between positive forces and negative forces.
How do the masses actually make history?
Well, and this is our theme, how do they make history? Well, when we become, first of all, we talk about those two aspects, the ideological and the concrete. And when we become aware, that is, and I'm speaking in terms of African people now, when we become aware as Africans that we have certain nation class interests as a nation that exists all around the world, and as a class of people who are workers, peasants, and so forth, who are exploited by these capitalists who are constantly being ripped off of land and moved here and moved there. When we understand that we have a collective interest, and then when we begin to organize around that interest and organize around that interest in order to make revolutionary change, that's when we make revolutionary history. And again, remember back in the calendar, we talked about for those who want to be revolutionaries, as Sekou Toure says, we have to be in three places at once. We have to learn from the people, that is, follow the people at times. We also have to be among the people, experience what the people experience. And lastly, we have to provide the education, the political education that doesn't just grow up automatically. And we also have to help insist with the organization of our people. When we do those three tasks, and we and the energy and the creativity and the genius of the masses is organized, then change occurs. And the greater that organization and the greater that political education, then the greater the change is going to be.
Right. One more question here. Can you talk about what is happening today, right now, and explain this in concrete terms and how that relates to the past and the future?
Yeah, I'm going to give two examples. One kind of from the U.S. side, and show how it created some things, and in terms of mass organization, and then from the continent. A lot of times we think of Martin Luther King as a great leader, and he was, and people like Rosa Parks, etc. But when you look down at Birmingham, Alabama, where he emerged as a leader, one of the things that you find is that it was a highly organized community. One of the key leaders was a person that we don't hear much about. It was a guy by the name of E.D. Nixon, who was an organizer for the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, of African Union. And there were women who were organized. Joanne Robinson had organized a group of women called the Women's Political Council, who had been very active. And there were all these sorts of organizations all up and down. So when King came to town, he was actually chosen by Nixon to become a spokesperson for the movement. And when he began to try to use some of the traditional methods of organizing, the union people, the sleeping car porters, said, "Oh no, that's not how we do it. We organize. If you want real change, you have to organize more militant action." And they did this long-term boycott. In order for the boycott to happen, masses of African women who caught that bus every day had to not catch that bus, had to walk to work. And when they got to work, they were standing on their feet all day and walked back home from work after standing on their feet all day. You had other women who drove people back and forth to places when they had long distance to go. So you had a community that already was organized, and Martin Luther King came in and helped to knit some of that organization together. He was placed in that. So you had a very organized community. And out of that organization came a youth movement, SNCC, and out of that movement you get Black Power and Pan-Africanism and etc. So it continues on and on. On the continent, we also see right now some very interesting things happening in that area that's known as the Sahel. And one of the very interesting areas, countries is Burkina Faso. The Burkina Bay people have resisted for thousands of years. They resisted Arab incursions. They resist the French. They have a history of resistance. Now, there in the more recent period, like 40, 50 years ago, a young man by the name of Thomas Sankara emerged out of that movement And he crystallized that movement. He became a new voice of Pan-Africanism and struggle against capitalism in that area. He was so effective that the French and the U.S. said, we got to get rid of this guy. And they had him assassinated. The movement, and he was not alone assassinated. They went in and out of the military. They went in and they wiped out all sorts of forces that would have been there to help him out. One of the things, though, that was established in that revolutionary Burkina Faso was Committees for the Defense of the Revolution, or CDRs. And youth in particular were organizing these committees. These youth and the younger youth under them later, 20 years later, 25 years later, came and overthrew the guy, ran the guy out who was key in assassinating Sankara. And now we begin to see a new generation emerging, a generation now which is now pushing out the French, unifying other forces in the Sahel, or working with other forces who are unifying themselves in the Sahel and really taking a very militant and very revolutionary stance against imperialism and so forth. So we see this thing continues. It continues, and you take one time. Sometimes you take a couple of steps back. You take some steps forward, but that's the dialectics of history. Don't move in a straight line. You're going to meet resistance, but we keep coming back. The masses keep coming back when properly educated and organized to claim victory after victory.
Right. Absolutely. All right, good people. All throughout 2025, and at times with invited guests, our focus has been on our 2025 theme of our calendar. A unified socialist Africa is not only possible, it's coming.
So join us next month when we will discuss the emerging unified socialist Africa.
Meanwhile, visit us on our website, Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party.org. That's one word, Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party.org. You can email us at panafricanrsp@gmail. You can like us on SoundCloud and visit us on YouTube.
Remember, organization is the key. Join us, the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party, or some other revolutionary Pan-African socialist organization. Remember, a union of African socialist states is on the horizon.
United we stand, divided we fall, but together we can change the world. Latest headlines, breaking news. People are realizing and getting less confused, y'all. Extra, read all about it. People are waking up and hear the people are shouting.
The future of the world is in our hands. We must first control our own actions. Together we can do it. We can make things right. Working as one family in the Father's
Together we can change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that's in we. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that give we. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that's in we. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that give we.
Oh yeah, you gather around everybody. Cause what I see don't make me merry.
Not nice.
Religion has been nothing but folly. The people, yes, are starting to get weary.
Tell them, David.
Politicians, them are gather their armies, claiming power to enforce their glory. Oh, let's rewrite this goddamn story. Oh, yes, we can. Oh, yes, we can.
Together we can change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that's in we. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that give we. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that's in we. Yeah, we're gonna and the truth will reveal. Time to put your shoulders to the wheel, cause together we can change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that's in we. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power to give way. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that's in we. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power to give way. All of the power to give way. Yeah, man, using all of the power to give way. Yeah, man, using all of the power to give way. Yeah, man, using all of the power to give way. Who's gonna help us? Who's gonna help us to make things better? Who's gonna make a sacrifice and make it come together? Helping one another like a sister and a brother. Let's change this world, yeah, forever. Together we can change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that's in me. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power to give way. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of the power that's in me. Yeah, we're gonna change the world. Yeah, man, using all of